Alright guys, game 5 of Rain versus Soulkey in the KSL 3rd and 4th place matches. Gonna be on Blue Storm. Right now we are tied 2-2, so pretty much anything could happen right now. I think this is actually a best of 7, so we may have one more game after this. So I'm pretty excited about what the outcome is going to be. We've seen a variety of builds from both players, but basically Soulkey's been playing uncharacteristically aggressive. Soulkey is, I guess, a very aggressive player, but especially in these last games, he's been going for somewhat of all-ins, and it really has been a test of strength for Rain, just trying to survive and trying to move on into the rest of the game. And so far, he's done a pretty good job of that. He did succumb to some of the pressure in a few of these games, but a lot of the early pressures that Soulkey has brought along the way, such as an early Hydra Bust or early Ling pressure, Rain's actually dealt with pretty beautifully. So we're moving now to Blue Storm, where rushes are pretty common, but if we can actually get into the late game, this is such an awesome map for PvZ. I love this map for PvZ. It's so freaking cool. If anybody remembers the Jaedong versus Stork final on this map, oh my god, that game was awesome. Just so much stuff pouring across the map constantly. And those two, at the time, were just the macro gods. So it was just insane to see all these units clashing constantly. Woo! He needs to be so careful with that drone. And Rain really wants to go in for that snipe, but I think Soulkey's going to be very careful with that. Probably going to be using that one to morph something pretty soon if he wants. Very nice. Whoa. The moving shots from Soulkey are insane. But remember this, guys. So this is from the KSL 3rd and 4th place match. This is from the semifinals, right? Remember that Jaedong 4-0'd Rain in the semifinals. It was actually astounding how well Jaedong actually played. Of course, he went on to lose to last. Spoiler alert. He went on to lose last pretty badly, but I mean, it just proves how well Jaedong is doing right now, that Rain can still take games off of Soulkey, who's widely considered to be the best Zerg right now. Jaedong is looking almost back in form, so I cannot wait to see more games from Jaedong. It'll be a really great couple of months coming up. Love that little block on the Lings at that choke. It's very nice. Just to delay a little bit of time, you can put a probe in there and delay 1 or 2 hits from the Lings before pulling back. It's actually such a clever idea. Buying just enough time for that cannon to come up. Very early gas coming down from Soulkey. Or, no, I guess that's standard actually. I lost all sense of time. It's a little bit weird just because Blue Storm has a kind of a strange wall off compared to other maps. Normally, on other maps, you try to get a wall off that is right there at your natural, but on Blue Storm, it's kind of weird just because you have the mini choke and you have also the big ramp that leads down into your natural, so it's better to just kind of build the nexus into this wall, and then you can just fill it up with cannons a little bit later. But it is very susceptible to early pressures with a lot of Lings, a lot of Hydras. So that's probably something we're going to be looking forward to. That Rain is going to be scouting a lot for. Just trying to make sure that his opponent doesn't go for some sort of tricky all-in. And so this probe's got to stay alive. It's got to be very active on the scouting front. Pretty standard stuff so far. Early lair, that's gonna put Rain's mind at ease. He knows his opponent's not going for an early Ling speed attack. Gonna feel pretty comfortable with the follow-up Corsairs. Tries to go ahead and put some pressure with the Zealot, but Soulkey's on top of it. Gonna go ahead and push that away. And I think Rain's just gonna bring that home. Chill out for a bit. A lot of Lings actually out for Soulkey. All things considered, I think I counted 6 to 8, so a little bit unusual to see that many Lings in this day and age. Usually Zerg players really like to stop at like 2 or even 4, just to be super greedy on their droning. But in this case, Soulkey surprisingly having a lot of trouble chasing down this probe. I mentioned in, I think, game 2, The easiest way to do this is have one lane following, and then you can kind of surround it with the others. But in this case, gets the link speed, just going to be able to surround it that way. Set it all over Dune coming down for Rain. Going to be able to get his tech up pretty early. And this is the beauty of this map as well. That little choke, although it does allow for some really early dangerous pressure, it can also be very nice for just kind of blocking it off with one zealot. And oh, this is actually a very nice surround for Soulkey. He's doing a pretty good job of kiting back, but it's not going to be enough. And although they did a pretty decent amount of damage, cleaning up those two zealots is pretty important for Soulkey. But Rain actually keeping out the pressure. He's going to have a zealot going into the natural and trying to cause a little bit of pressure. Soulkey reacting quickly, though. He's also got a zealot over here in the third base. Going to be able to start killing off drones over there as well. He actually pulls it away. Wow, okay. Bit surprising to see that. Oh, it was a Corsair. Well, he had another zealot going down there, so I'm actually quite surprised that he didn't try to hit both bases at the same time. Decided instead to pull back, not waste too many zealots. I mean, all things considered, when you lost two zealots early on and then a third zealot in the natural, you really want to be careful about how many zealots you're throwing away, because suddenly it becomes very, very dangerous to deal with a Hydra bust at your front. It'd be very, very devastating. Cannon's going down to deal with the Scourge, and he's going to be able to get his Templar Archives out. This is kind of a bad position for him to be in right now, but he might be able to juke his way out of this one. Oh, he lost one of them. It's a little bit unfortunate. Second one doesn't take much damage, so it should be in good shape. But losing one Corsair early on is a little bit rough. As a good Protoss player, you really don't want to ever lose any of your Corsairs early on. Unless you're best, and then you just lose all your Corsairs early on and then somehow win with 20 gateways. So, gonna get a little bit aggressive with these speed zealots, leaving almost no defense back at home. I guess he's relying on these Dark Templar to come out, that are coming out to deal with any sort of pressure. He's just going to put on pressure with 6 speed zealots. A little bit surprising, but it is forcing Soulkey to have to make some extra lings. And I love the way that he's playing with the stroke. Just kind of getting free hits off of these lings without getting a full surround. Allows him to get a whole bunch of damage in without actually committing, forcing Soulkey to make a lot of extra lings that he'd rather not make. But here come the Mutalisks already. Soulkey is not messing around. Oh my gosh, those +1 zealots doing so much damage to the lings. Cannot believe he actually killed that many lings. That actually might have been a mistake by Soulkey to try to fight that with the lings. Maybe should have pulled it back and let the Mutalisks deal with it. But Rain is doing a very nice job of just cannoning up to follow up. He knows that this pressure is on its way. He may decide to just stick with the Storm for right now. And instead of getting the double Archon early on, looks like he might just go with the Storms. Continue to be very defensive. He's got this one DT out that's going to deny any 4th bases from going down anytime soon. And potentially put some pressure in on the front. He's going to try to run by. Is the block there? Oh, the damage might be enough. It's not. So he actually does manage to sneak a Dark Templar into the main. He's going to start killing off as many drones as possible. Only gets 2. Maybe 3? 3. So he gets 3 drones. That's actually a pretty big deal. Getting that DT into the main is almost magic. It's actually really, really beautiful. And Rain is doing so much with so little right now. He's just got a couple of zealots. He's got these Corsairs and this one DT. And it's just putting so much pressure on Soulkey right now. Soulkey honestly probably could walk across the map and more or less kill his opponent, but because there's so much pressure right now, there's not much that he can actually do about this. Oh my god, there's so many Scourge. Jesus. What is Soulkey doing? He is going crazy right now. And I think at this point, though, Rain is feeling really comfortable. He says, well, I don't really need much of a ground army. As long as I have a couple of cannons at my 3rd base and Storms at every base. Like, I'm pretty much fine. I'm not really worried at all. Oh, good damage in on all of those Mutalisks. This is such an easy take for Rain right now. He's actually even floating a little bit of money. I'm gonna spend that money a little bit faster. Not that I'm criticizing Rain on being able to play, because Rain's an unbelievable player, but he did have a little bit of money sitting around. I imagine Soulkey's probably taking his 4th base right now in that 3 o'clock position. But the only problem with that is when you take your 4th base over there, it's a mineral-only expansion. And as a Zerg player, you really need that 4th gas. 4th gas is the most important thing in the world for Zerg. You'll notice that Rain is actually killing off that gateway. That's just so they can funnel out some of the bigger units like Archons and Dragoons out of his base. It's pretty common on a lot of maps. Obviously, Protoss players try to build their bases in such a way where units don't get trapped, but at some point in the game you kind of have to start doing that just so that you can get those more massive units out of your base. They're not quite as tiny as the Zealots. I love this positioning for Rain right now. He's just got 1 Dragoon sitting on top of that ramp just to make sure that nothing is going to threaten the top of that ramp, and it just allows him a little bit of space to chill out, collect his army wherever he wants. We do see the robotics facility coming out pretty soon. He can't really be very aggressive until he actually gets the observers, because lurkers being used defensively, 1 or 2 lurkers at a base basically stalls this entire Protoss army. There's nothing that you can really do about it. But Rain, always the macro player, doesn't really care about attacking. He just wants to take more bases than the Zerg. And if you're a Protoss player, this is honestly the best thing to do. It's scary to go against a 4-base Zerg, but I mean, a 4-base Protoss that's has plenty of storms, has Reavers at each base, and a sizable ground army with plenty of Archons, that'll beat anything the Zerg throws at you. You're actually okay staying on 4 bases versus 4 bases. It's not that scary, especially if the Zerg doesn't have that 4th gas, which I don't think the Soulkey has yet. So at this point, I think Rain is feeling pretty comfortable with where he's at. Sees the lurkers coming out right now. And basically his goal is just to take control of this high ground. And if we get into the late game, we're going to see armies clash over and over and over in the center of the map on these huge double ramps. Like, it's so much fun to see. I love this map when it comes down to that stuff. So we'll have to see what he decides to do. There's got to still be a lot of Scourge flying around somewhere. I know that Soulkey had quite a few still. Oh gosh, wow. Lots of Scourge coming in. They're not going to be able to pick off anything though. Ran a little bit too quick on the trigger. He really does need to send over a couple of High Templar up to that top left base, but instead he's actually just going to go start getting aggressive. He's got the Observer out right now. He needs to be careful, make sure it doesn't get sniped by a Scourge, but so far very nicely done. Just going to be able to kill off the initial lurkers without actually losing anything. Going to back up and get some shields, so very cool play coming out from Rain. Probably going to be starting on those Reavers pretty soon. Once you get a couple observers out, suddenly your robo's open to kind of do whatever you want. Rain is known to really like shuttle play, but in this case I think he's going to focus on just having the Reavers out to defend his extra bases. Gotta be careful with that observer. Gotta keep an eye on that Overlord. So as soon as the Overlord moves in, that's usually an opening for the Scourge to come in, but no Scourge from Soulkey. Soulkey's just running units in, and so far it's about mixed. Both players trading fairly evenly, but I think the Rain is actually getting the better hand of this. He hasn't been losing a whole lot of Dragoons. The follow-up Ling reinforcements weren't enough to actually turn the tides of that fight, and it looks like Rain, having retained all these Dragoons, is going to be able to push in again, get some free kills on all of these lurkers. And where are the Scourge? You have to snipe this Observer. It is the most important thing you could possibly do, but this is an unlimited minefield coming out from Soulkey. It's so hard to actually push across this. It is a slow, methodical push, but tons of Zealots just walking straight into the natural of Soulkey. Soulkey's got to send a whole bunch of units back. Is he going to be able to actually defend that? And Rain, in the meantime, saying, I don't care. I'm just going to expand a little bit more. Going to build a cannon farm up that 12 o'clock base while defending with these Mutalisks, but Mutalisks may be short-lived. There's not really a whole lot left to actually defend against these Zealots, and Rain is mobilizing once again, going to try to make a big movement over here onto this ramp. This is so nicely played by Rain right now, just dealing massive damage to his opponent in the main, in the natural, killing off the rest of those Mutalisks, so not gonna have to worry about that for the rest of the game. Very good Storm's gonna be able to kill off the rest of these lurkers, and the macro from Rain does not stop, up to 150, 160 supply. There's no way Soulkey is anywhere near that. He hasn't been able to secure that fourth gas. The base at the 6 o'clock position goes down, so no more fourth gas. Definitely no fourth gas for Soulkey right now. And now the Archons start rolling, and this is where it starts to get scary. Once the Archons start getting in here and start getting up to a critical mass, it can be almost impossible to deal with. Soulkey's sending out a lot of units. The Lings are now out to those adrenal glands. They have the upgrades, so they're starting to get really scary versus the gateway units. But once you get enough of the Archons, the Lings almost don't matter. The splash damage is just massive. And right now, Soulkey's now discovering that 12 o'clock base, realizing maybe he made a mistake. And there's the GG. Very well played by Rain. He's going to take the win 3-2.